Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets. Welcome, everybody. I don't even have to ask if you guys are having a good day. I know we're having a good day after yesterday, which was, in hindsight, probably one of the most memorable days in crypto that I can remember, right? Ethereum up 20% in a single daily candle. I don't think that's happened since 2017. Maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. ETH Bitcoin at one point up 14% in a single daily candle. I think that is also probably something we haven't seen in probably 4 or 5 years. So yeah, I mean, altcoins popping off across the board. Bitcoin up 10% this week. We got a lot to discuss on today's show. A lot of coins to potentially look at. But first, I'm Tommy. You guys also know me as Snorlax. I'm joined by Tucker and, of course, Prometheus. Welcome, guys. We're going to have a great Friday show for you today. But before we can get started, before we can look at all of these tickers, guys, going to need you to hit, smash, slam, annihilate the like button. And if we can't do it after a day like yesterday, then when can we? When can we? But yeah, let's get into the markets, guys. Obviously, this week has been pretty self-explanatory, right? Market has moved dramatically higher, most especially ETH and some of these beaten down altcoins getting huge reversion pumps north. I mean, I could pretty much just go down my watch list and, start listing off the percentage gains across all of these altcoins, right? I mean, we've been kind of seeing this strength from market leaders for a few weeks now. It finally materialized into a much larger move on Ethereum, right? I mean, we saw things like Fartcoin, things like Hyperliquid moving off their low, slowly grinding higher. And then you have ETH, which just catches up in one, really just kind of one daily candle, and I guess an Asia session, now trading near 2400. Back into that strategic Bitcoin reserve candle. Solana trading 170 today. I can mention equity markets as well, which are also, slightly green, but I just think that would be doing a disservice to you guys because let's be honest, all the action right now appears to be happening in the crypto markets and altcoins. It was Bitcoin. Now altcoins are taking a bit of a lead. Will that continue into the weekend? We will see. But how are we doing, guys? What are we seeing in the markets? Any setups that we're prospecting? Look at anything in the comments. Make sure to go ahead and drop those.
I mean, what a day. What a day we had yesterday. If you looked at the 5-minute chart on basically every single ticker, nothing but green. Nothing but green. And it just literally felt like the train that would never stop. Yesterday, right, we had, the first little leg up, and alts, especially the ones that have been strong off the lows, just continued to grip higher and higher and higher. And I mean, strong double digit daily closes across the board on a lot of big names, and alts are really starting to get the kind of catch up trade finally, after we saw Bitcoin dominance largely steal the show for the better part of the last 60 days, and we're starting to get beta to act as beta finally. And I know a lot of the people listening, you don't specifically hold Bitcoin necessarily or Ethereum, and you are most likely, for what I can tell from the Discord and from CT at least, you guys are largely probably positioned in altcoins, and for them to finally start to resolve to the upside is awesome. And there's not much more that can be said. But before we get started, guys, we got to hammer that like button today. After a day that we had yesterday, and the moves that we saw this morning, out of Ethereum and a good handful of these alts, we want to hit that 200 like target today at minimum. No more slacking on the like button, okay? Before we bring alpha, before we bring the rest of the show, guys, you guys need to hammer that like button, and then we'll get right into it. But the first things first.
Yeah, man, you look great. Yesterday either, when everything's ripping on the stream, I'm starting to think I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, man. I mean, what are we sitting at? About 66 on the like button right now. It's okay.
Devil's number, man. We need to change that.
That's close. It's not quite there. It's not quite there. I mean, yeah, boys, we look pretty good. We look pretty good. I'm just marking out some stuff on ETH. Maybe more like that. I like that better. Yeah, I think yesterday was huge. Yesterday was huge. I think we got a little bit of work to do, but enjoy the pump, man. Enjoy the pump. I think this is this right here. That's better. All right. I mean, some big levels we've come into across the board: ETH, Sol, Bitcoin, all of them. Probably wouldn't be shocked if we pulled back a little bit from here, but I mean, higher time frame, I think. Some pretty important reclaims on majors across the board. And yeah, like we were talking about on Sol, this move from 55 up to 180, very nice, very nice. Of course, we've got kind of another big level. Unfortunately, too many big levels, man. Why do all the levels have to be big levels? But
because they're all important, Tucker.
I know. This is nice. This was nice. It's like little pump above the point of control, give it a little back test. I mean, really that should be the target, but there's definitely some liquidity in there. But yeah, I think continuation probably next week, but we will have to see this weekend. Could see some mean reversion, right? Could see some mean reversion, but I think things look pretty good, man. Things look pretty good.
Yeah, nothing better than an end of the week pump. Hopefully we close out these weeklies strong and things are looking pretty good.
Dude, yeah, we need, especially ETH, honestly, like this weekly needs to close strong. Like, not that it's, not that we can't have a weekly pullback and then go, but I would like to see the ETH weekly get above like 2,300-ish, right? But just because, I mean, let me like delete these. I mean, just like this, the most basic little trend line, right? Like, big level, right? You got a horizontal, you got the diagonal, right? A reclaim would be very nice, would be hugely bullish. Obviously, you don't want to see this like do this, which I do not think is going to happen, but I think you might just take a little while in here, right? This might take a little bit of time. But yeah, things look good. Bitcoin looks better than both ETH and Sol, by the way. I mean, Bitcoin, of course, looks the best, but 99 or 100, 99 or 100 be a good bid over the weekend, probably, but we'll see. We will see.
Yeah, I didn't know if you're about to go, Tommy. Were you?
No, I was just about to say, I mean, I think I said on yesterday's market check, if Bitcoin made a move towards price discovery, we're looking at like 120, 125 this summer. I still think, based on the move that Bitcoin put in from that local structure, that's probably going to be the case here over the next few months. I think the debate is going to be over which majors end up outperforming, and I would say ETH probably put in a majority of its outperformance yesterday. Not to say that it won't go higher, but the meat of the move on that ETH Bitcoin uptrend was probably yesterday, right? If we're kind of looking at that 0.03 level to cap ETH Bitcoin, as I am, because I mean, again, I'm a bull on Bitcoin dominance. I don't really see any reason for that to to shift too dramatically, because the biggest reason for that would be, ETH Bitcoin about to drastically outperform, and I just don't see that as very likely. But we did mention 0.03. I think Zoran Cole was one of the first people to mention that, so shout out to him. But yeah, I mean, ETH Bitcoin traded all the way up to like 0.024 yesterday. Absolutely insane that we saw that candle. So I think the debate from this point is going to be, okay, what is most likely to outperform? Okay, well, ETH will probably revert a little bit harder than things like Bitcoin and Sol, so will likely outperform here over the next few weeks. But I think a majority of that outperformance probably occurred yesterday. At least for majors, right? That doesn't mean that individual altcoins won't start popping off in a much bigger way, because I think they will, right? There's no reason to suspect some of these market leaders ending their uptrends at current prices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, ETH just had that Pectra update. I don't know if you guys saw that. They're burning like 1 ETH a minute. It's, I guess, deflationary, in a deflationary status again, and I guess we'll see how the market digests it. But definitely pumping off that news, and so definitely we saw a little bit of a mean reversion. Rejection off the levels that we previously talked about, around 2,500, but strong move off the lows. And I mean, I'm in a pretty similar camp, right? You might see majors slow down a little bit here, and alts could have quite the catch up trade, especially with the coinciding wealth effect with majors pumping. It happens every single time. Big legs up on majors into sideways price action leads into rotation into alts. And paying attention to those newer, fresher names hot off the press are going to be where the outperformance largely lies. Or the ones that have decent social metrics like Fartcoin. But those are definitely the ones to pay attention to.
Fartcoin, man.
What a Chad. What a Giga Chad. It's so weird saying that, like saying that name out loud.
I still think that Fartcoin's like doing that thing where it chops, I think, people waiting for that like big breakout up and out, and then it's going to send. Man, it's been, I'm sure, because I think you were trading it, Prometheus. You mentioned that before the show. You've been trading Fartcoin. You probably have recognized on a lower time frame just how choppy it is. I think that's kind of a product of just a lot of people trying to position one to the long side before the next leg up, which would presumably be $2. And then obviously people looking to be the fade-or of the strongest asset in the crypto market.
Yeah, it's one of those tickers where on the higher time frame, it's super clean, just level to level. And if you start to try to get, a little too granular and you start zooming in on that super low time frame, people are getting absolutely thrashed on both sides. So you got to be smart, you got to be careful, with your leverage and your sizing, but super clean on the higher time frames. And yeah, it's treated me nicely.
I mean, this is, if we go by typical cycles for altcoins, I mean, this is an asset that is probably within like 1 to 2 weeks from beginning. I would consider it to be probably like its last leg higher. That will likely take it into price discovery, maybe $4 or $5. But at least like the last easy pump coming for this asset, I think is likely headed down the pipe fairly soon. Headed down the pipe. Wow, that's kind of ironic, but no, you guys know what I mean, right? Where it's like altcoins will leg up, consolidate, leg up, consolidate, leg up, consolidate, and then right before they give you kind of that up thrust, either they're already in price discovery or they're about to be. You get that last parabolic up thrust, and then you start to see a bit more of like choppy and grinding price action. That's usually indicative of like the beginning of distribution, but still trends a little bit higher.
Yeah. I mean, Fartcoin, I like what you said, Tommy. It probably gives like a little scare, and then probably just goes for all-time highs. Like I don't really see why not. We did have somebody asking for Kita Prometheus.
Ooh,
I'm sure you have a chart. Let's see it.
it's been an absolute face melter to the upside the past 2 days. Seen a little bit of pullback here, but yeah, I can pull something up here for you guys. Kita. All right, got it up there. It's honestly such a sick name, Kita. But yeah, seeing a little bit of pullback here in the supply region. Nothing too big to worry about. I talked about it on the morning call in the Discord for the members that are in the audience right now, and if those that listen in know that I have been unbelievably bullish on this ticker, and the timing could not be better from a catalyst perspective in regards to what's really lining up when it comes to this ticker and how the rest of the market is behaving. We are coming up into that last kind of little bit of supply up above, but we broke both these trend lines that I talked about, and had a nice back test. We're back above, and if we pull a fib and we kind of see where the next, once we get to new all-time highs, where are we headed next? These are definitely going to be your levels to pay attention to, that I think are going to be very, very important levels. Now, the thing with fibs is you can have market mind share and like liquidity flows take over to the point to where Fibonacci's can get absolutely blown through to either side, really. But these are definitely the levels that I'm going to be targeting next. If you go on log, let's see here, I'll throw it on log for you guys. These are more high time frame. Probably, significant tops are going to be probably around that 2618. We'll see if we can get to $3 solid, but $3 solid. We'll see if we can get to $3. That would be solid. But the ticker's strong, right? It's shown a ton of strength off the lows, and I think it's up 50% from this most recent low that we had back on Wednesday. And you really want to be paying attention to these tickers that have outperformed the majority of everything else in this little mini altcoin season, we'll call it, these past, yesterday, really. But they have the catalysts lined up in confluence with the dynamics and how the rest of the broader market is looking. The charts that we had pulled up earlier, if you start to see majors go sideways and chop around, that generally tends to give altcoins the room needed to fly and for them to really start to see Bitcoin not act as an absolute vacuum in the broader crypto sector, and for liquidity to really go out on that risk curve. You start to see a little bit of a wealth effect occur, people being more have more of an appetite for risk. And Kita is one of those names that I'm really, really bullish on moving forward. The team has mentioned that over the next 30 to 60 days, they have a really strong marketing campaign lining up with their audits that they're currently working on, along with their mainnet going live hopefully at the end of June. So market's really in wait and see mode on this one, even so in regards to the tech proving out. And I think you're going to kind of get that oh shit moment where they prove out and the team's shown that they're the real deal, and people realize that they're not messing around, they're not playing around. And to find a team that is as dedicated as they are, and one that is willing to put in the time and the effort needed to educate the community, to go above and beyond in what they're providing, the solution that they're providing, and to really solve a problem, and be that one-stop shop for anything financial, financially related, is pretty awesome. And so to find that is really, really rare. That's a diamond in the rough. And that's why a big reason why I'm bullish on them, because nowadays, like we've talked about, a lot of these newer coins, if a lot of these meme coins are largely bundled, right? And you just have devs that are kind of have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and at one, at any point could really, dump that supply onto the market. But projects like this, usually you would see, being launched in an FDV of multiple billions. But they did a fair launch, and that to me is just, they understand really what the market participant and what retail want to find and what they want to see out of a token specifically. So enough shilling. I'll get off my soapbox on this one.
Pepe, brother, Pepe. We need.
Let me take a moment to talk to you about my bags.
Yeah.
Pepe, baby.
Yes. And I wanted to lead this one to Max, because I mean, Max is really the GOAT when it comes to Pepe. But I mean, we talked about it. We talked about this 10-cent region, and I thought this box here would act as a little bit more of a resistance than it did. Dude, Pepe yesterday was crazy, especially if we go on the lower time frame. I mean, my God. This is a 10-minute chart, right? This is outrageous.
I was looking at the derivatives for Pepe a few weeks ago. That supply that kind of cucked it like 2 weeks ago, in that, like, I guess however many zeros you want to use, that round number spot, the supply that we had before the breakdown at that level, that is really, interestingly enough, like that was where hedges for Pepe began to come in. That was when funding got negative. And so I knew, like, if we flipped that level, you were probably going to see a big candle, and I just kind of forgot about it. And yeah, I mean, Pepe did basically exactly what ETH did, where it reclaimed the level and then gave you 0 pullbacks all the way up.
Dude, and the most unfortunate thing about this market is there's too many tickers to keep up with, honestly.
Well, I think that's the biggest issue with the altcoin market in general, right? Everybody wants to pump their own shitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And, I mean, for me personally, I had these levels drawn out for like a month at this point, if not longer than that, and look just how clean they were. And I just get a little distracted, looking at other things and just forget about it. And, we sweep this low, and it just rips to the upside, right? And gives like no room for entry once we have that move.
How long was the lag, Prometheus, between Pepe and ETH on a lower time frame? I'm curious. If there was any at all. I would reckon there was probably maybe like a 10 or 15-minute lag between these two assets.
That seems like a lot. Maybe like 5 minutes. You think 15? That's a long time. Let's see.
We kind of line them up here.
Gotta get the time right.
Yeah. There we go. It's pretty close. I mean, so if you look here, right, ETH starts to lead. It's not that much of a lag. ETH starts to lead. It's pretty similar.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's almost identical. Pepe had a little bit more of a pullback than ETH did up here, once ETH got to about 22. But yeah, it's almost identical. That's the thing about Pepe. It is true ETH beta. It acts just how you want it to act. And that cannot be said for like majority of alts. Like 99.99% of quote unquote beta does not act in this fashion, where you'll have like some days of underperformance, some days of overperformance. But this really is just like 1-to-1 of Ethereum chart, from the long and short perspective, right?
Speaking of under and over performance, we should pull up Sol ETH.
Oh, yes, we should. Yes, we should. So,
Casually named
Wow.
the generational Sol ETH top.
you did. Yeah, you did call that. You did
Yes, you
call it.
did. Got to give credit where credit's due. That is for sure.
I was wrong about what it would mean for USD, but I did get this pair right.
And there is one place that this chart is coming back into, and that is home.
I think it's retracing the whole thing.
The whole damn thing.
The whole thing.
All the way.
Because I
All the
think
way.
that ETH will outperform it, reverting to the upside, and will also sustain downside pressure better at this point too, because it's much less diluted. Ironically.
Yeah, I mean you're seeing that just big blow off top. And I think too, if I were to throw on the Binance pairs specifically, maybe there's a huge wick on one of the Sol ETH pairs in relation to the Trump pump.
With that said, I think that Fartcoin will likely still outperform every other large cap meme from here. But
ooh, you hear that, guys?
Oh, really?
You hear that?
I don't know about that, Tommy. I don't know about that. What does the Fartcoin Pepe chart look like right now?
It is.
Let's see it.
Probably dumped yesterday.
Yeah.
No, the USDT.
Fartcoin USDT.
Yeah.
I think the Fartcoin long is going to be next week, and it's going to be a banger.
Fartcoin over Pepe. Interesting.
Swept the high.
Maybe a little bit lower there, and then I think you get price discovery.
I think you probably come back down into there if you lose this low. I mean, we did sweep that low, so I mean, if this holds here, yeah, I mean, this thing could freaking rip face to the upside. I'm trying to think of what chart this looks like.
Fartcoin kind of reminds me a little bit of Sui last year.
Interesting. Sui. Let's take a look at Sui. Let's see what's going on with Sui.
Like I would say late 2020 or like September, October, November. That consolidation for Sui right in there.
Something like this, sweep the high.
Yeah, it's not exactly the same. I just think this consolidation that we're seeing, this chop before the real leg up.
Yeah,
that is.
It's just happening below all-time highs on Fartcoin, not all-time highs.
Yeah, I think the primary difference is that Fartcoin has that huge wick higher, which Sui did not. I mean, it's Fartcoin's a meme.
Yeah. Speaking of Sui, I think I might have got like pilled on Sui Onchain here. I think Sui Onchain could potentially do absolute numbers. It might be short-lived, but I think at some point Sui Onchain gets a massive liquidity wave at some point, whether that's some big name shilling it or it organically happening.
Well, I know Wabi was comparing it, like if anybody is going to be doing an AVAX rush style, on-chain meta, it's going to be Sui more than likely. Let me look at the what we can even find on Sui. I guess there's more than there was. Because I remember when Tucker and I went to, I think it was Tucker and I went to Sui in 2023 maybe, or like early 2024. There was nothing.
Yeah, there was like, I don't even remember what tickers we were trading, but there was nothing to do.
We can't even mention them on here because they're so low.
I literally, what was that, 2023? Is that right?
I think it was early 2024.
early 2024 Sui on chain. Yeah,
We were
dumb.
like the first people that I know to be transacting on Sui. So that the only things that you could buy were like a 4 million market cap meme. It might have been smaller than that.
Jesus.
Yeah, and we did a Sui Man, I believe, pop off. That was at the beginning of the year.
Oh, was it Sweet Cone? Fucking
It was
Tommy?
it was H Sui.
That's right. No, I don't think I think that was you and Chimp maybe. I remember that ticker, but I feel like Chimp was buying that too.
Dude, it's 17K market cap right now. Oh my god. No,
What
it's
do we
one
think about?
JK.
What do we think about OI? I mean, OI is at the same levels that it was when it was back at all-time highs.
For Sui?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just immense amount of crime occurring on this coin. I think trying to like dissect the open interest on it it's kind of like pointless.
No signal.
Yeah, it's just been like very one directional long open interest.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like a weird dynamic, the cycle where people are not really bidding anything in spot. They're just like leveraging to the gills to pump these things. I'm guessing it makes exiting probably easier. Because you don't have to worry about like locked tokens or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dude, hype looks pretty good here too, man. Wow.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is just it's just going to be one of those charts that just goes up and to the right and gives little pullbacks, in my opinion. I mean, just like what we saw in here, like you might get how much are these? Yeah, like 10%. It might get like 10% dips along the way. It's just literally going to do one of these, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then eventually, it'll probably pull Binance. But yeah, seen a little bit of rejection here at this descending trend line. You know, and we got above this supply region, kind of swept these highs. You know, we're back down underneath there. You know, after the run up yesterday, I would not be surprised if we see alts give a little bit back here. Yeah, I mean, just monster moves across the board, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if we see order books, you know, try to fill back up and see little bits of pullback here and there, try to get some shorts back into the market, get some more longs back into the market, and or rinse late longs, that is. But a little bit of pullback here.
There's opportunity for a pullback here over the next few days. So if you're longing here, you're probably going to get rebalanced at some point. But alts are, you know, they're in this that state where they have so much momentum that you can hit scalps for 5 or 10% within like a daily candle and not have to really hold positions for too long. You just can't be greedy.
Yep, I agree. And if you're able to
maybe looking for 65 on hype.
Yep. I think this signals peak saturation for it. I think he hits 60
right now.
Yeah. I think he hits 65. What would that be? 21, 22 bill market cap at that, maybe a little bit more than that. Yeah, I think once you hit probably those like that 20 bill market cap range, you know, that to me would probably mean like peak saturation, peak kind of market sentiment, you know, maximum inflow of liquidity. And, you know, if we start to get up there and you start to see some sideways chop, I'd be careful. But yeah, I mean, 60, I mean, still from here, that's a 3x. So, or not quite, but it was a 3x as of yesterday, but yesterday morning, that is. But yeah, I mean, this thing's clearly taking mind share in the market right now. Tons and tons and tons of people are talking about it. And I think it continues to to garner more mind share. I don't see why not. What do we think about Trump here? What are your guys' thoughts on Trump?
For it to reject.
Yep.
It doesn't look great. It looks okay. It doesn't look great. Like it kind of just looks like you got dragged up with the market a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, like,
and it actually looked super weak before the big pop we had, especially if we zoom down on the lower time frame here. I was looking at it. I was paying attention to it super closely, but this whole period in here, when it was just having this kind of like upward grindy price action higher, the rest of the market was ripping when this was happening, and it was just having issues. And then, saw that move, but I still think this is, I'm in the same camp as Tommy. This is one of the better tickers to be short if you're looking to hedge any long exposure or play for, a little bit of a mean reversion pullback here, whatever you want to call it.
I think the tricky aspect with this ticker, even though I'm kind of expecting it to reject from this level, is that you have a lot of shorts that came in over the last like 2-3 weeks, specifically people who bought the token in spot and are hedging on perps to be delta neutral so that they can get dinner basically for free, which is pretty smart, right? But it does push funding negative. It does mean there are inherently shorts built up in this asset. And yeah, they got squeezed yesterday, and I was watching the flow on it, and they kept coming in and kept getting squeezed.
Yeah. I was talking about this in the Discord. Somebody asked about it in the morning call, but if you get back up to like $21, $22 on this token, you better be looking to run for the hills.
I'd be really surprised if you got 20 or 21 on Trump.
Oh, I'm fully in the same camp, but I'm just saying, like, if you get back up here, if you can somehow get above this supply that we left at 17 and get up into 21, you better be looking to run for the hills. Like, yeah, and if you were buying, down in here, this to me is honestly like your exit pump, or this was your exit pump, and you're lucky that all those shorts were shorting, like Tommy said, to get this move out of it.
I think if you wanted to see Trump leg up from this spot, you'd want to see Sol hit like $200, which seems like a pretty big extension, all things considered.
I mean, do you really think that Trump acts as Sol beta, or is it just the Trump family social token, and that's all?
Kind of both, right? I mean, if Sol is not showing weakness, it's very difficult for Trump to go down. And I do think that Sol will hit 200 for the record, but I don't think that it's going to do it imminently necessarily. Like at some point, probably within the next few weeks, but not today or tomorrow.
No, I think still you got to clear like 175, 180, and then I think it's a quick move to 200. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could take a little bit of time. I mean, I think you can hit 200 in a week from today, potentially. But
yeah, just like you said, clearing that 180 level, I think, is the most important point on the chart. That's in confluence with Ethereum getting over 2,500 as well. It's both of them had that nasty, up 20%, down 20% day that we had back at the beginning of March on the Seized Crypto Asset Reserve announcement.
Yeah,
you get above those levels. I mean, it's.
Did you guys hear that or read the headline that the guy who pushed Sol XRP and ADA headline is now out of the he's not around him at all?
I saw that.
He's not what anymore?
Like the people who created that wick, that SBR wick that a lot of coins are trading into, I guess that was not supposed to happen, and he got let go.
Oh,
Dude,
really?
Same, dude. That's Grayscale ETF 2023. It's the same
The
candle, bro.
intern.
It's this not the Cointelegraph intern one.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
The one
No, I know what
before
you're talking
that.
about. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Back
Yeah.
at when we were at the lows at 25.
Yeah, go back, zoom in.
Right
Right
here.
there, right there. That's what I'm talking about.
I just don't think that any of the coins that I just mentioned, though, will be a part of a strategic reserve. Like Sol, ADA, XRP, I don't think those will be included.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's
Probably not.
ETH. It should just be Bitcoin and ETH. Really just Bitcoin, but I won't get on a tangent about it. Somebody asked me if I still think Bitcoin dominance will hit 80%. The answer is yes, I do.
80?
80%.
80?
Yes.
Tommy.
80%.
All right, pull up Bitcoin dominance, Prometheus.
This is like one of those corrections that we end up looking back on within the perpetual grind up.
Mark out 80 on this chart.
Am I on log too?
No log, just 80. Dear God.
Oh my God.
Brother.
You know, the interesting thing about it too is just like what we saw at the beginning of 24? Yeah, this is the end of 24. Sorry, excuse me. Just like what we saw at the end of 24, right? Even a small move, down 10%, was it? Yeah, about 10%, let alts absolutely fly. And what's interesting is a bear market is only going to perpetuate this move to the upside. And so I could see where Tommy's coming from, where you don't necessarily see the froth, that we had in the previous cycle to have a move to the downside like this occur. But just because we don't have a move like this occur does not mean that we can't have an alt season.
No, sure. But mark out 70 on that chart for me.
I mean, if Bitcoin goes up 25% from here into the summer, like let's say that 20 to 25%, maybe more than that, that's adding 500 billion in market cap. So you would collectively need that much more bid on altcoins just to undo the Bitcoin dominance from an upside move. But if Bitcoin eventually pulls back, we know in downtrends, altcoins are not going to be stronger than Bitcoin.
No. It just depends how long Bitcoin can sit and go sideways above a higher level than here. Like if Bitcoin goes up to the 150 and just hangs out there for like a month or two.
Well, then that's $1 trillion in market cap that it just added.
Bitcoin?
Yeah, because it's 2 trillion right now at basically 100K.
Yeah. You don't think Bitcoin could add $1 trillion in market cap?
I mean, it could, but just do I think that altcoins would also add $1 trillion to offset that Bitcoin dominance? No, I don't.
Maybe. I mean, what's like total 3 at right
now? Let's take a look. Just call it 900 bill. We'll just round it.
So total 3 pulls at 2x. I mean, that's not that crazy, right? For total 3 to pull at 2x. Bitcoin 50%, total 3 pulls at 2x. Bitcoin dominance is in the same place, I guess, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think most like total 3 ETH, the best that you're going to see is like a revisit towards the highs. I don't know if you're about to get.
Yeah, we should be looking at total 2. Sorry, look at total 2. I don't know why I said total 3. What's that at? 1 point something?
1.16.
What's the high?
1.6.
And it's at 1.3?
It's at 1.16.
Oh, 1.16. Okay.
So we're 45, 450 bill.
Roughly. So you would need this chart to double also. You need total 2 to double and Bitcoin to add 50% to its market cap to have dominance stay flat, essentially.
Imagine 1, 2, 3.
Well, that would be wait, one. I don't know.
Imagine,
I don't
yeah,
know.
because we got a 2 drive on it last cycle. Get the classic 3 drive on total 2 this cycle. But I mean, also you got, I mean, so from that perspective, right? Bitcoin, this has been a Bitcoin bull market. Like it's just been a Bitcoin cycle. It's very apparent. It's very obvious. But at some point, implementation and utilization of crypto where it stops becoming an actual meme will get priced in. And you just have to ask yourself, when does that happen? Right? Especially with what we're seeing on the regulatory side, excuse me, with them allowing, like, because what banks can custody now, I think it's like registered banks can custody now. So at some point, the use case for crypto outside of Bitcoin starts to get priced in, and that is reflected in the total 2 until a 3 chart, and it will be at some point. And so you just have to ask yourself, at what point does that occur?
And how does that look, right? Because I am also, you know, I'm not a cynic, a complete cynic when it comes to crypto. I do believe that non-sovereign storages of value have a huge utility in a world that is, I mean, increasingly, I feel like riddled with uncertainty, right? When we look just kind of around the world. But, you know, like, what does that look like for total 2 adoption, right? Because we have so many effing coins in total 2, total 3, and others. It's kind of hard to quantify, you know, what this going into aggressive price discovery would mean, right? Because it's probably going to, like, I don't really see any reason for the market not to remain a market of haves and a market of have-nots among altcoins. So there will be a few total 2 coins that do make highs and some that probably don't come close or just form complacency. So I almost feel like these metrics are, you know, they're useful when like looking at the entire sector as a whole. And I think like when these things find support, hit resistance, etc. But like the altcoins that you really want to own and that you really want to trade, they're probably just going to be, you know, more or less moving on their own accord, right? Because Hyperliquid could move up 5 to 10x in the next year or so. I mean, who knows? And that would realistically like not make that big of a difference to total 2 and total 3.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, there are going to be some altcoins that really benefit from, you know, these narratives of adoption, et cetera, and also as a byproduct of that outperformance.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I don't even know if it's worth, like, because of what you mentioned, I don't even know if it's worth charting like total 2 and total 3, right? If you do have to be that selective.
I feel like it's alt BTC, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because we want to own, if it's not outperforming Bitcoin, why aren't we just holding Bitcoin?
Yeah. What is that? Is that others?
Yeah, this is others. And I mean, it just goes to show like others, you know, versus the chart that we just saw with like total 2. I mean, it just goes to show like how much altcoins have been struggling. I mean, truly. And just like Tommy said, I mean, it's very important to be selective. And this chart is a great representation of that.
Well, that's kind of, I also think that's the issue with like when we're talking about Bitcoin dominance, you know, I think you can be bullish on Bitcoin dominance and be super bullish on specific alts in the space, but for Bitcoin dominance to decline, there's just so much working against it, I think. And it's also, I think, different drivers of price action behind Bitcoin dominance now versus previous cycles, right? There's an actual, and we can say this now unironically, like there is a fundamental bid for Bitcoin as digital gold, as a storage of value, as non-sovereign money. Where in the past, Bitcoin dominance rotations would be, okay, we bid the speculative asset Bitcoin, it appreciated. Now we're going to bid further down the risk curve based on more speculative assets. And that dynamic has obviously changed this cycle, which is a big reason why I think we haven't seen any respite from Bitcoin dominance. There's not really any reason to. Like, the things Bitcoin dominance is pricing is Bitcoin against ETH and VC scams. So it's only natural that those things on a relative basis more or less go to zero against Bitcoin over time. Really, the only thing that I think can materially change that is if you see a sudden and massive reversal on ETH BTC.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I completely agree.
Because, you know, we see this question, right? And I think it's just, you have a different holder base for Bitcoin this market cycle, right? In the past, people would buy Bitcoin because they wanted to speculate on Bitcoin's price appreciating. And then when they felt like Bitcoin was topped, they would rotate down the risk curve. You stop buying the alphas, you begin to rotate into betas. Whereas now I think the Bitcoin holder base is, I think, again, ironic to be able to say this, but I think the Bitcoin holder base is much more long-term focused now than it was in 2021 or 2017.
Yeah, and the Bitcoin holder base is largely institutional now, as we well know. You know, it's been the strongest supportive flow in the market for the entirety of this cycle, right? And, you know, just as Tommy said, the Bitcoin holder base in the previous cycles were like the tech geeks, the people that have, you know, were like diving into the tech, diving into the actual like fundamental use case of it. And so they just had majority of, you know, the whales in the previous cycles, you know, had large stacks um, you know, Ethereum and Bitcoin. And when they generated a ton of wealth because of Bitcoin's, you know, rapidly appreciating price last cycle specifically, you then saw them, because they're crypto natives, then got on the risk curve and be willing to take capital and take, you know, some of their stack from Bitcoin and go and speculate on the crypto coins, where the institutional side is not of that nature and is not of that belief, right? They are buying Bitcoin for the ETFs, they're buying Bitcoin for the storage of value, and that's it. Like, you know, so that money is never shifting, it's stagnant.
I think that's a good point. I don't know if all of it's stagnant, but a lot of it is going to be
a huge amount.
And that's, you know, I think that automatically puts a bit of a floor on Bitcoin dominance. And, you know, for the record, I am expecting ETH Bitcoin at this point to trend towards 0.03, maybe even overshoot it a little bit. So Bitcoin dominance will naturally come down a little bit more, but I still think that high time frame thematic isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, and also what we've seen too out of participants this cycle specifically is trying to front run that narrative. Is trying to front run that, you know, the thesis and the rotation of capital and the rotation of liquidity in the space. And because that, you don't have, you know, Tommy's talked about this several times before, but you don't have people just bidding majors and appreciating their wealth that way and then rotating out onto risk. People skip that whole step. They just go, I'm going straight to the casino. I'm going to go rip Onchain, and I'm going to go bid the most, you know, risky stuff there is in the market, to try to find multiples that way. So a good chunk of capital and liquidity of the cycle is not focused on, you know, strictly bidding majors. I would say, you know, probably the majority of retail capital specifically is bidding alts first, and because of the dilutionary effect, you don't have as much cumulative wealth effect occurring.
I almost feel like, and let me know if you guys disagree, but I almost kind of feel like altcoins this cycle are kind of like, hypothetically, like owning your own business, right? And inviting other people to, come buy a product or buy a part of your business. And it's like everybody is staking their own, or putting their flag in the ground for these coins and hoping that people will inevitably, find their business. Is that an oversimplification? I kind of feel like that's what's happening because we have so many coins. We have so many people who want to believe in something else.
We just have too many coins, bro. That's that's all there is, I think, to it. Like, and what Prometheus was talking about, like, I think the reason you don't get the huge wealth effect is because he's right. Like, retail's not bidding Sol and ETH and Bitcoin; they're bidding shit coins, which is fine. But that's why you don't see, like, the traditional down the risk curve you guys talked about, right? Like Bitcoin to ETH to Sol to alts back into Bitcoin, like that whole altcoin liquidity flow cycle with the graphics and shit. Like, that's not real anymore. Like, that just doesn't. It's just not real. So,
God, that graphic was used so much in 2021.
Who?
I mean, it was real for a little bit. It was legit, but it's not the case anymore. Just because, like, you have institutional capital bidding majors and you have retail bidding alts, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, alts need things that increase the hot ball of money, which is probably going to be China. China, and I think UBI will be probably
UBI where? Not here.
in here. Yeah.
No, brother.
Maybe not within like a year or two, but I do think we see that before 2036.
Okay, yeah. If we're talking
you're,
down the road, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a respecter of what is that thing called, like periods to make money? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, it's now through 26, I'm pretty sure. I have it saved. Hang on, let me look at it.
Yeah, there's usually like a year
liquidity cycles.
I think it's based on astrology, actually.
Really?
So hold on. Okay, so let me see if I can. No, it's fine.
Usually off by like a year, give or take.
Well, it was off on COVID for like.
Because I think it said 2019 for COVID, right?
It did. Yeah, it did. Let's make this.
I think we have UBI by 2036 or 2035.
Okay. Right. Times, years of hard times, low prices, whatever. Good times, high prices. All right. 2026 is good times and high prices and a good time to sell stocks and values of all kinds. It's like from 23 to 26 is supposed to be good, right? And then from 26 to 32, not so great, I believe. Years in which panics have occurred. Yeah. Okay.
So it's 3 years up, 6 years down. Not every time, though.
Not every time. No.
But really, the one I'm paying attention to is the 2035 one. That's when we're all gonna retire, basically.
If we say 16 years, it's 2036 probably. But yeah, it's been like a year off. So this was a year early. I guess you could argue that might be a year early.
Tommy, there's another decade before you retire, bro. I can't bid my shitcoins on Solana and retire in a month.
You love the game,
bro.
You're trapped here forever,
bro. I can't bid dog shit on
late.
Solana and retire in a month. No.
This was a year late. This was a year late. This was a year early. So
yeah, it's usually like off by a year, give or take. I mean, it was forecasted in like the early 1900s, so it makes sense that it's still.
That's the craziest thing.
This was 1875, brother.
That is crazy.
Study this guy. Holy shit.
I forgot what exactly his methodology was, but it was definitely astrologically based.
for sure. There's no other way he could have done this. Yeah.
For people who don't respect The Rock, observe.
Observe. Observe The Rock.
We are title beings.
Yeah, it's usually off by like a year. Just 1 year though. 07, 99. Yeah, that's
Because it was a
crazy.
year early.
Yeah.
So 2027 is the top. Oh, back to me. Interesting. I need to look into that. I'm going to do some studying. But you know what I think this is a good time for? I think this is a good time for a little segment, Tucker.
Okay. Segment time. All right. So I'm gonna play a quick commercial for you guys, but I'm also gonna run. I think I can do this at the same time. I'm gonna run a little banner across the bottom. We were supposed to do this yesterday, but we forgot. So this is your code. I believe it's 30% off BB Terminal for 6 months. That's a pretty good deal. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this commercial for it. And then if you take that code, put it in the checkout, 30% off for 6 months. Boom. There we go. So which one's the coffee one? Which one's the coffee commercial, Max? Is this the coffee one? Well, we'll try it. Here you go.
Every morning, coffee in hand, I open up the BB terminal. We built this platform to be your trusted companion, whether you're actively trading, investing for the long haul, or even dabbling in the degen space. Let's start with the BB portfolio. It integrates with over 60 blockchain networks and supports both wallet connections and manual entries, making it flexible enough for any trader. On the active page, you'll find advanced charting tools, complete with more than 21 custom scripts to give you deeper insights. Beneath that, our intuitive heat map helps you spot key support and resistance levels easily. But we know active trading isn't everyone's style. So we created the DCA page, equipped with over 35 thoughtful indicators. It's designed to assist you in making informed, strategic, and long-term investment decisions. We're genuinely proud of what we've created here at BB, and we continually strive to improve it every day.
Boom.
Awesome, guys.
Who's enjoying a coffee right now?
Yep. Yes, guys. And so the terminal really is freaking awesome. That code, use that at checkout, 100K BTC for 30% off for 6 months, I believe, Tucker. That's correct.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, use that. Check it out, guys. Like, you don't have to. We have a free built-in portfolio tracker with 62 different chains specifically. No more fumbling around with a million different spreadsheets. I know a guy that does his manually. I don't even know how you do that. All in one spot. You could enter your wallet in, so you can enter your wallet in manually on our portfolio tracker, so you don't actually have to connect your wallet if you are worried about, potential security leaks or issues regards to that. But I do trust you. It is safe. Do trust me, it is safe. We also have charts. We have metrics, DCA page, heat maps. We have a degen section coming soon, which Ed has been cooking on, guys. And I know you guys are going to love that. And we do have many other features lined up in the pipeline. Plethora of indicators for you guys. No more having to go to 15 different websites to track OI and funding rate. It can all be done in a one-stop shop. You guys need to check it out. It is a project and something that we've been working diligently on and tirelessly for a long time now. And we are making sure that is going to be the best one-stop shop for anything you guys need crypto related. We would love your feedback on the system, on the software itself. We got Agger, order books, whatever indicators you want. And if you guys have noticed, Max has some indicators that he posts on some of his charts. He also on Twitter. He also uses some of them in the Discord. Those will be made available to you guys here at some point in the future. And we are making this thing an absolute juggernaut for any needs that you guys may, any crypto related specific needs that you may want or need in the future. We are going to have it there. We already have a good chunk of them there, and we continuously are cooking on it. I don't know if this is known yet, but I'm going to leak it. Mobile version will be out at some point in the future. We, are incorporating alerts. We're incorporating everything you guys may ever need into BB Terminal. No more a million spreadsheets. No more a million tabs open, having to track everything. We are going to make this the hub when it comes to crypto related needs. You can back test anything that you may ever want to back test. We have under that DCA page a ton of different metrics. Specifically, if you have any questions pertaining to it, or would like us to incorporate anything that you may think would be a good feature to have, do let us know. But the BB terminal, guys, is, we're only just getting started on this, and we are absolutely cooking on so many different features on the back end that that I'm sure you guys will love. But even then, the portfolio tracker, like I said, which is free, and ridiculous that we're offering that for free. We should be charging money for it, but giving that one out for free. Plethora of indicators, OI, funding, margin, spaghetti charts to realize relative performance. So you guys go check that out. Use code 100KBTC in the checkout, and it'll give you 30% off for 6 months. So I hope you guys use that. I want to see those codes gobbled up. I don't want to see any left on the board. And let us know what you guys think. And excited to see what you guys think, and excited to see what the feedback is.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Looks like we might come down a little bit low key here. Looks like it.
A little bit of an oopsie into next week.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think it'll probably be driven by equity correlation.
Yeah.
And we probably set a low early next week.
I like that down there, maybe.
Yeah, retest of that shoulder that we gave back before the big sell-off as well. You zoom out a little bit. It's that same level.
Yeah,
this is the part where, and it's a mistake that I've made a lot. Well, not a lot. I've made it really just once, but you make it once, and then it's always like an embarrassing mistake to make, so you don't make it again. But you miss the rally on leverage. And then you start longing the top of an altcoin after the move has happened, forgetting that the altcoin outperformance typically happens the most after majors pull back and bottom, and then people rotate into alts. I remember in 2023, like the very beginning of the bull run, when Bitcoin had just moved from like, what was it, 16 or 17 to 20K in the course of 2 days. And I longed like Luna Classic or something like that and got rinsed. I was on 5x leverage thinking like, yeah, this is surely safe enough long to not get liquidated. And then I woke up and yeah, that position got liquidated, sure enough.
Damn.
So yeah, this is the part where people will load up on leverage on altcoins before majors give you some sort of like, I mean, not even like a scary move relative to the move that we put in yesterday, but altcoins will pull back a lot more than people think, and they'll just get carted out. And those are the liquidations that you typically want to bid. It's an amount that I can laugh about now.
Yeah.
But I remember at the time I was just like, "Are you effing kidding me, man?"
Mm-hmm. Funding's getting a little hot there, brother.
I think the best long is going to be Fartcoin next week. I really believe that.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, I mean, you probably get a leg up to like $2 or $3 next week.
Mega supply.
that's nice right there, baby. That's nice right there. The super sniper on the weekly. Come on.
Did you say this?
Is that the Hagrid?
That would be
Oh,
incredible.
Yeah, mobile app coming. It's gonna take a little bit to develop. To put all this into a mobile app is gonna take a minute, but yeah,
That's
that's
gonna
good.
be
That's
killer,
gonna
though.
happen. And then it'll be able to actually give alerts, which is nice because you can't really like what are you supposed to do? Have it like email you an alert? Like, it's not really it's not the best. So we're gonna have it be a mobile app with push alerts, but yeah, anyway. That's probably a decent place to wrap up, don't you think, boys?
Yeah, I think so.
yeah. I think we
Tease
cooked today.
the future of BB Terminal a little bit. But we have not checked the like button, guys. If you could do the needful, maybe you just don't like us and you want to continue to shit on us. Well, either way, if you hit the like button, we have a better chance of continuing to provide you guys with this daily content. So go ahead and smash that like button on your way out. But otherwise, we hope that you enjoyed today's episode of Market Check. It has been a very eventful week for markets. It started a little bit slow, but after Wednesday, things certainly picked up, I would say. We'll see what we get this weekend. We'll see what we get next week. But rest assured, we will be here to cover it for you all. If you enjoyed today's stream, we'll be back for another episode on Monday. A reminder that we are live Monday through Friday whenever the New York Stock Exchange is live, typically starting around 11 a.m. or 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But of course, make sure to tune in for Market Talk with King Wabi. He has been absolutely crushing it lately. And his show will be on Spaces. On X. So make sure to stay following and subscribed to Wabi's account as well as the Because Bitcoin X account so you can be notified not just when we schedule those spaces, but also when we go live. But that's it from us. We hope that you enjoyed the stream. Not going to do a product shill today, but we will, however, do an outro with another ad for the BB Terminal, which, I mean, guys, we're going to keep showing you these ads because it is a hugely useful tool. You may think, well, I don't need that tool. I'm an on-chain degen, or hey, I don't need that. I'm a long-term investor. Well, guys, we have the tool for you too. I promise you will find huge utility out of the features that we've already built into the terminal and that we will continue to build out. And you get to, get started completely free with the portfolio tracking. So yeah, that's it from us, guys. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Here's one last little bit of BB before we bid you farewell.
Welcome to the all-new BB Terminal portfolio. Faster, smarter, and now free for everyone. Signing up is easy. Just use your Google account to get started in seconds. Once you're in, you'll get a clean, aggregated view of all your wallets. Or dive into individual wallets for more control. We support Wallet Connect for seamless syncing. And don't worry, we use industry-standard encryption to keep your data safe and secure. Prefer not to connect your wallet? No problem, just use our manual entry mode. Choose as many tokens as you like. Then plug in your transactions. It's quick and intuitive. Watch your portfolio stats and charts update in real time. Your portfolio refreshes automatically every hour, but you can also sync instantly with just one click. BB Terminal Portfolio, available to everyone for free. Welcome to the all-new BB Terminal Portfolio.